Good evening, tribe. I'm so glad you're joining us today to talk about birth control alternatives. I have Holly here with me, and please forgive my voice. I do have a little bit of a cold, so hopefully you can understand me just fine. So, welcome, Holly.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and the journey that you're currently on.
Well, I originally started on this journey. I wrote a book called Sweetening the Pill, which was about my experience of the pill for over 10-year period from when I was 17 to 27.
Okay.
And that book actually originated as a blog. It became a book, and it's now inspiration for a feature documentary being executive produced by Ricky Lake, who also
Oh,
made The
cool.
Business of Being Born, a documentary that came out about 10 years ago now, I think. And so that journey brought me to Daisy. After I came off the pill, I was obviously looking for a way to prevent pregnancy that was effective and as easy as the pill. I discovered the fertility awareness method originally. And then Daisy came out in 2014 in the US. And the founder, Natalie Reckberg, actually contacted me and said, "Oh, we'd really love you to try out this Daisy." I tried it, and I thought, as an alternative for women who don't want to be on synthetic hormones for their birth control, and are looking for something that's effective and easy, with really great guidance and support from a team, that it makes the transition much simpler. It gives you a lot of confidence. It makes you feel really empowered with all the data that it provides you with. And so I really just loved it. I thought this is really meeting women where they're at. It really meets women like in real life scenarios, busy women, shift workers, women with kids, women who don't have time but really, want to know more about what's going on with their body. And so I've been with Daisy now as a brand ambassador for, I think, about 3 years at this point. So I do a lot of education and outreach specifically for them. So things like this.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so glad you agreed to talk to us. I know we had a ton of interest within the tribe, our in group. So, those of you who are joining us, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Please get your questions in. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. And throughout our discussion with Holly, I will interject your questions as it's appropriate. So, Holly, tell us a little bit about how the Daisy method works and how you utilize that device.
Sure. Okay, so I have one brand new one here, box one. It has really gorgeous packaging. I'll open it up and show you. Hopefully, I don't get tangled up in my own wires. So
Yeah.
this is the Daisy. It's basically like a fertility computer, essentially. So it's calculating your fertility cycle, when you're fertile, when you ovulate for you. And it does that using a particular point of data, which is your basal body temperature. So you'll see on the end there's a sensor. It's a really highly calibrated sensor. You put it under your tongue when you wake up in the morning, first thing before you do anything else. And that registers your basal body temperature, which is also known as your resting temperature. And that indicates ovulation because, as I'm sure many of you know, you get slightly hotter after you ovulate. So actually physically hotter. It's only detectable by basal body temperature. It wouldn't be detectable by a regular fever thermometer, but that's what Daisy's picking up on. So in here is a little database, and it's not so little. It has 5 million menstrual cycle data. And between that and the data that you're giving Daisy, it creates an algorithm, and that algorithm learns your cycle. So it has a 3-cycle learning phase. Over that phase, it comes to understand your data and your hormone patterns, and is able to discern between your fertile window and outside of your fertile window. And so about 80% of women at this point use Daisy to help them avoid pregnancy. And so they're looking for when the fertile days are, and it will give you every day your 24-hour fertility status. Hang on, let me bring this up. I hope it will register as a red, green, or a yellow light. So yellow is the learning phase light, but when it registers you as not fertile, you get a green light. Hopefully you'll be able to see that there. So you get a green light on the device itself. And then when you are fertile, you're in that fertile window, you get the similar light, but red. So it's red for fertile, green for not fertile. So women who are trying to avoid pregnancy are looking for that fertile window, And the vast majority use a barrier method during that fertile window, so like a condom. Some use a diaphragm with spermicide, and that's how they help achieve their goals until the point usually at which they want to plan a pregnancy. And then, of course, the same methodology is used for that, except you're not avoiding during your fertile window, you're doing the exact opposite.
Sure. Becca has a question. One of the viewers says, what if someone has an irregular cycle?
So Daisy is recommended for women with cycles 19 to 40 days in length. That really accounts for most women. I hear a lot from women who say, oh, I think I have an irregular cycle. When you ask them, like, what is your cycle? Usually it's somewhere between 28, 32, 30, 34 days. That's not really that irregular. So you've got a pretty good window, 19 to 40 days. You're good with Daisy. If you have very, very long cycles or you don't have a period for whatever reason at this point, Daisy's not the right choice for you. You do need to be having a period.
Okay, that's good input. Thanks for the question, Becca. If you guys have any other questions, please, like I said, get them in. We've had a lot of new joiners since I last mentioned that. So if you guys have questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, so let's see. How has the method been tested for accuracy? What's that data been like?
Okay, so Daisy actually comes from a company that's been making fertility computers for 30 years, 3 decades, out of Germany. So you may have heard of the original, which was the Lady Comp. They also made the Baby Comp and the Pearly. So the parent company is Valley Electronics. And the woman who created the Daisy, her father created Valley Electronics originally to develop a device for his wife who had a blood clot from her birth control. And so that has 30 years of experience. And as I said before, the database with the 5 million menstrual cycle data, which is collected over that time. And so they have studied the algorithm which is used across for all their technologies, the Lady Comp, the Baby Comp, the Pearly, and the Daisy. And that algorithm has been studied, I think it was once with the Lady Comp, and I think they had 2 studies with Daisy. And that's shown it to be over 99% accurate at determining your fertile window. So that's highly accurate for something that is using 2 data points. So it's using the basal body temperature and it's using your period data. And the nice thing about it is, unlike other kind of fertility trackers and things on the market that you may have read about, it's very much all about cutting down on the potential for user error. So because all you're doing is taking your temperature in the morning, and Daisy is sophisticated enough to pick up on outlier temperatures, you can miss a few temperatures a month. It's not going to cause any big issues. It's other than that, you're just pressing this middle button to register your period when you have your period, and then it gives you your fertility status on the device itself. So the user error potential is very low.
Okay. What about those of us that work night shift? Our circadian rhythms are kind of off and our temperatures can also kind of fluctuate. Does that affect the device at all?
Well, actually, one of the really nice things is that a lot of shift workers use Daisy because you only need 3 hours sleep prior to temping and taking your temperature, and you don't have to do it at the same time every day. So if you have, sometimes you work nights, then all you need to aim for is that 3 hours. And then when you wake up taking your temperature, it really is one of the reasons it was developed with this algorithm and the sophistication to be able to pick up on outlier temperatures and things like that. And the caution bias was to help women who are shift workers, but also women who have kids who wake up every 3 hours, or, just have disrupted sleep patterns, or pets that wake them up, all kinds of different circumstances. So the whole idea behind it is just to make the idea of fertility awareness or having a natural alternative or a hormone-free alternative just much more accessible.
Okay, that's great. It's great to know. What was I going to ask? Sorry, I just had a good question and then it escaped me. Insurance. So if you've had any effects from hormone birth control, will your insurance cover any part of the device at all?
So, because Daisy isn't registered as birth control, you may have heard of other fertility tracking apps that are, well, there's actually only one currently registered as birth control with the FDA. Daisy is a
Oh,
medical device, but the company has chosen to keep it at this point as a fertility tracker because, as I said before, it's kind of in control of you. You get to decide what you do with that data. So, if you want to get pregnant, you can use Daisy to get pregnant. We just did a survey recently on women who got pregnant using Daisy. If you don't want to get pregnant, you can use the data to not get pregnant.
sure.
So when you contact your insurance company, you're actually contacting them about a fertility monitor. And women have had success with insurance companies, and they've got partial coverage or full coverage. You can also get coverage from a HSA or an FSA. But
Okay.
really, it's all about your individual company. But what you're calling is not saying you're not calling to ask for coverage of birth control. You're actually calling to ask for coverage of a fertility monitor.
Oh, that's great input.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Becca, thank you. So here in the comments, Becca provided the website for Daisy as a reference. Thank you very much. Let's see. Josh asked, is it battery powered? And if so, does it lose effectiveness as the battery drains?
No, so it's great. On the back here, you'll see where the battery's stored. It's actual, just like a watch type circular battery that you could get anywhere, the 99-cent store, CVS, wherever, Target, you can get that battery. It lasts a full 2 years with Daisy. And when it is running out, Daisy will tell you on the device itself with a particular coordination of lights that your battery is running out. So you won't
Okay.
have a fear of losing your data or the lights being wrong or anything like that. It's going to tell you, and it's going to take a full 2 years to get there.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Becca asked, how long do you have to use it before you can rely on the data collected and your temperature? Or rather, when can you safely use it alone?
Well, you have a three cycle learning phase, like I mentioned before, when you will get mostly the yellow learning phase light or the red light. And that's when Daisy's collecting data. So Daisy's collecting data over that time to be able to sufficiently ascertain your fertile days versus your non-fertile days. So from the start of using it, it's effective over 99% because it's going to mostly give you the yellow and the red days. It's not going to give you a ton of green days. And that's for reason because that doesn't have enough data. Once it does have enough data, you will get your green days, and then you'll get more and more green days as Daisy learns and understands your cycle. And on those green days, if you're planning to avoid pregnancy, you know that you are, very certain that you can choose, if you want to have unplanned sex on those days. Most of our Daisy users do that, and you also know that the fertile window with the red lights has been narrowed down sufficiently that you are really pinpointing around ovulation if you want to conceive.
Awesome. Do you have any other pointers, suggestions? Do we go to that website to order a daisy? That I think who shared that? Becca shared that. Do we go there to order one if we're interested?
Yes, you do. So Daisy's only sold online or at events that we sometimes pop up at. One of the things I did
Okay.
want to talk about is how you can actually sync your Daisy to your phone. I would love to show you, but I don't think I can do both at the same time. I'm on my phone right now.
Oh,
But
okay.
you can look at your data on the app. So you have an app, and the Daisy View app allows you to look at your chart. It allows you to look at your predictions for your future fertility status. It allows you to look at all your cycle data. And one of the nice things is if you're thinking about this product as something that's maybe one of your patients or somebody or a client that you work with would be interested in, a lot of women like that data because once you've collected a good amount, you can actually email it to somebody that you work with as a healthcare practitioner. And that data can be really helpful. I've seen women use it to diagnose thyroid issues, to diagnose food intolerances, to look for infertility issues and reasons behind infertility problems. All kinds of things can be discovered from that data if you have the right training to analyze it. And because it's data that you're giving it daily, it's easily tracked with the device and the app. It's very simple if you want to share it with a healthcare practitioner as well. Other women will share it, with a partner, but there are opportunities there to learn more about your cycle and body and what's going on with your health, and this kind of concept of your menstrual cycle data is like a vital sign of your health and how it can indicate so much more that's going on. So as well as the practical capabilities for women who want a hormone-free alternative, there's so much more to it as well, because you get to know so much more about your body through being able to track that data every day and see it in the app.
That's really intriguing. Can you talk a little bit more about the food allergies being recognized? How does that work?
Yeah, so women can see if it's a certain food type will throw off their cycle. So, of course, food allergies are often based around inflammation. Certain things like that can delay ovulation or lengthen a luteal phase, or they can see spikes in temperature. I have a friend who's a chef and nutritionist who uses it in that way, and she's always doing these kind of experiments on her diet, like Whole30, and then removing this and not doing sugar free and doing wheat free. And she finds it really fascinating to see how that just affects her cycle, because she knows that the cycle is like basically like a free blood test or a free test that it's showing you what's going on in your body, because we know that if something's not right with your body will shut down ovulation first, because it's the easy thing to do away with. It's not going to affect your health immediately, so it doesn't expend energy there, so it changes your cycle. So if you have a system change from an allergy or an intolerance, or as I said, a thyroid issue or something like that, hormonal imbalance, then you will see it reflected in that cycle data. And the great thing is we have it, one of the things I really liked about the company is it has really, really great customer support. And that's so important, because a lot of women are using, hormonal birth control for many years. They don't have a lot of information. They're not told an awful lot. And so it's really important to have that support. So you can actually get your data analyzed by the customer support reps, and they'll give you like a full lowdown of what's going on. If you say, oh, look, I feel like I'm getting more red lights, this suggests that something's changing in my health. It could be stress, it could be change in sleep, it could be anything, but it's really nice to have that conversation back and forth.
That's really great. I love to hear that they have good customer support. That's so important. And I asked the question earlier, but where can we purchase a Daisy device? Just off the website?
Yes, so it's just off the usa.daisy.me website right now, and as it pops up at an event near you. So you go online and you can purchase from there. You've got all your options. There's other things available too, like protocols and other suggestions for products, but the Daisy is just accessible via that website.
Okay, great. And you mentioned the customer support. Is there a window of time that's available to your customers, or is it the life of your product?
That makes me laugh, because there's really no window of time, as in it seems like everybody's available 24 hours a day as much as anything. Awesome. But no, it's lifetime customer support. So the product itself, the device, is kind of tested to last what they say is 7 years plus, but it has a 2-year warranty. And it, if you have a problem with it, you get it replaced with that 2-year warranty. But really, if you take good care of it, it should last for your fertile lifetime. And so, yes, absolutely, you get that level of customer support, that individuated level of customer support for as long as you need it.
That's awesome. I love that. So you mentioned that Daisy was owned by the same company that did several other devices. Are those devices all still in use? And if so, how do you choose which one to use?
Okay, so they've all developed over the years, and they've been updated and changed and improved on, but the Lady Comp is still a really popular, I think it's probably the most popular fertility monitor in Europe, and it is an all-in-one version of Daisy. So instead of syncing to your phone and the app, you have all your data on the Lady Comp itself, on the screen of the Lady Comp. So it's this cute little round device like this, and it has the thermometer attached, and then it has a little screen, and it shows you everything you need to see. And so they have, so you can, many women will choose Lady Comp, say, if they just don't want another thing that attaches to their phone, or they don't want to deal with their phone, they want it all in one, and they want just this portable, cute little device that they can take with everything that they need on it.
That's great. Okay. Mm-hmm. So essentially, Lady Comp or Daisy, take your pick.
Yeah, exactly. It really depends on your needs. Like, or your situation. Yeah, they both use the same technology and algorithm. Ladycomp is basically like Daisy's mom. And the Daisy was developed just, because of smartphone developments and the idea of having a device where you could view all your data on your smartphone.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Viewers, do you guys have any more questions before Holly and I let you all go? If anybody has any questions, please get them in the comments. And then those of you that are watching on replay, go ahead and type in replay and your question. That way Holly, myself, or Becca can make sure you get your question answered if you're watching on the replay afterwards. I don't see any questions coming through, Holly. Do you have any other insight you'd like to share?
No, and we'd be happy to check for questions after. I know it can be a lot of information at first. Maybe you can go and do your own research and come back, and we'll certainly check the comments and get back to you right away as well. I would say, we have a really great Instagram for Daisy. It's Daisy Fertility Tracker, DAYSY Fertility Tracker, and we have all the FAQs on there, some intro videos, everything. If you just want really quick overview of what does this look like? What does it do? What do people think of it? The Instagram's a really good place to go for that.
Okay, great input. And if you wouldn't mind, Holly or Becca, would you just put it in the comments here in the feed? That way people can just click on your Instagram as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was super informative, Holly. I appreciate you giving us your time, and I appreciate your information and knowledge so much.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed talking to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Good night, tribe.
Good night. Thank you.